capital gains tax. New Zealand has 0, Singapore 0, Dubai 0, Australia 47%. So they're already, even if allowing you to get your money out, they're going to take half of it. So there will come a time where what's already happening, where it's very difficult to get your money sent overseas. If you leave it too late, like I guess what we're talking about now, Dave, is middle class Australians are still rich if they don't remain living in Australia. If they remain living in Australia, the ones that got a lot of property will do fine. Those who don't have property are absolutely screwed, fucked basically, sadly. And even you can have a 100K a year job and you can't save up a big enough deposit to buy a house in Australia now. And if you do manage to get a loan, you'll be a slave to the banking system for the rest of your life. If you can't get a loan, you've got to queue up to get an apartment, which are record high rents, but you're going to be one of 100 people or 200 people to get an apartment. You mightn't qualify because other people get the apartment. So where are you going to live? In your car? When people get it, one of my friends has a lot of trailer parks. He's bought a lot of caravan parks, and, which in America used to have that trailer trash terminology, right? Living in a trailer park. People are now being evicted from trailer parks because they can't afford the rent. The rents in a trailer park have got so high. So if you get evicted from trailer parks, where do you go next? You can't. Like there is real estate agents in Australia crying and quitting their job that handle rental managements because they've had to evict elderly people from rental properties that have been there most of their life. I mean, they're heartbroken. Where do these people go? So this is what you're going to see. Record homelessness, record violence. Your cities won't be safe. If you don't believe me, just look at England. Just look at Western Europe. Just look at Germany. Look at France. Look what's happened to them. It's coming to Australia. Machete bins in Victoria. So yes, if Australians are rich now, if your house has gone from 1 million to 2 million in Australia, you think you've done great, right? It's a very clever scam. Inflate the value of everything for why they're actually stealing from you. But if you go to buy another house, you want to upgrade your house, Dave, it might be worth 2 million, but the house you probably now want is probably 3 or 4 million. So all of a sudden you're not so rich. But if you were to relocate some of those assets or even relocate yourself overseas, you can live like an absolute king. I mean, living in Bali as an example, like I have 13 security guard, I have unlimited staff, I'm having a child here soon, so can have multiple nannies. The best schools, like I wouldn't send my future kids to Australian schools, they're low and poor education. We have great international hospitals here. I would rather have a child in Indonesian hospitals in Indonesia. These people love children and care for children. Would you want to have a child in an Australian hospital with the medical system? Would you want to send your child to an Australian school, which is absolutely pathetic education system? So the quality of life now is actually better. So you can have a great life for a fraction of the price. So I'm not saying everyone has to relocate out of Australia, but I'm saying you seriously must consider a plan B, and you must consider at least relocating some of your assets, because if all your money's tied up in Australian banks or Australian real estate, you're in, and you're an Australian business might be doing well, you're in for all sorts of trouble.
I think what's interesting as well, a lot of people are very concerned about the rise of the surveillance state or the technocracy in Australia. There's more cameras every day. There's more overreach from the government every single day. And what I love about Indonesia is we know there's about 18,500 islands. So yeah, you know what, Bali is going to be a little bit of a tech hub. We do have obviously some more technology here. There's some more towers, there's some more Wi-Fi and so on. But you go a little bit just out of town, out of Denpasar and out of Seminyak and so on, and things change very quickly. You can go to a rural lifestyle out there. You can have incredible organic food. I've got friends living out there that have $50 a week rent in different parts of coastal Bali. There's also the northern parts of Bali as well. Like the whole island is incredibly resource rich and has so much to offer. But then I've just been over in Java as well. It's 90 kilometers off the coast of Denpasar here, 2-hour boat rides, pristine rainforest, wilderness, it's incredible surfing. Very, very warm people. This whole idea that the whole Muslim thing of the world, it's just farcical. I've never been so warmly treated anywhere in my life other than being here in Bali. And, I think people have to think a lot about that, about which countries are going to have the real surveillance technology. Because we know there's about 150 data centers being planned for New South Wales alone. And so what you're going to see happening somewhere like New South Wales or Australia is all this engineered chaos is going to ensue because they're importing all these people, create all this social unrest, civil unrest, And what's the solution? Oh, well, facial recognition here, more surveillance there, more fines for this, more fines for that, scanning for this. That's where Australia is headed. It's going to be a total technocratic beast system that they're building there. And the more woke and leftist a nation is, the faster it's going to go into that system. You do agree?
Absolutely. And the writing's on the wall. I mean, you can just don't believe what we're saying. You just wait. Wait a few more years and you won't have a choice. So it's heading that way. The writing's on the wall. But it's already starting to happen. I think what we're seeing, Dave, in recent times, like even when we started developing property over here, I was building property. The most inquiries were people for just wanting to, purely for an investment holiday and making, that 15-20% return. But now, the amount of inquiries of people going, look, I'm thinking about getting out this way. And my friends are coming every week to meet us. They go, look, how's Bali work? I'm thinking about moving here. So people are realizing that, one, the cost of living is through the roof, but the surveillance state, the lack of freedoms, the smart money's already left. The smart people, like my high net worth friends, are like, they have multiple passports, multiple jurisdictions. They're out of Australia, they're out of New Zealand, they're out of America. They're not sitting there like a frog in a saucepan of water. It's been, someone started the Bunsen burner underneath it and boiling them slowly to death. There is things that you can do, but we go, no, I don't want to leave Australia. You don't have to leave Australia, but you should relocate some of your assets out of Australia. You should be diversifying. You should be getting educated and researching other markets. Where might you want to live? And as much as we love Australia, David, you got to go, it's not the Australia it used to be. We have to accept that. I mean, I know we don't want to have to accept that. We would love passionately to try and change that. But as you know, Dave, we've spoke in front of 350,000 people in front of Canberra. We tried to create a political revolution in that country. And to date, we've failed to do that. Maybe one day it might change, but there's some things outside your control. But where you live typically right now is not outside your control. But you stick around too long. It's not like, how bad will it get? Well, when you see rapid homelessness in Australia, and it's going to get so bad, you haven't seen anything yet. Also, same with Bali. What you're going to see, it's a trickle before the flood. Since COVID, people moved here. It used to be just tourists, right? Aussies coming here for a holiday. Now it's expats booming, but we haven't seen anything yet. You're about to see Bali. Now they're talking about making Bali like Dubai, a financial center, tax zones for foreigners, etc. That's happening. That's already been written into law now. Here right in Bali. And we're looking to doing that in Lombok as well. So you're going to see Bali become like flooded with so many people from around the world. It will become a massive global refugee camp. So you can't we're lucky we have a place so close to Australia, which Australians love in Bali. There's no guarantee they'll keep Bali open for foreigners forever, because the sheer amount of people are going to be coming here.
And that's a good point. Bali has got truly something for everyone. I was talking to someone last night. They said Bali will meet you wherever you're at. If you want to come here and do business, Bali can meet you there. If you want to come here and travel, it'll meet you there. If you're on a spiritual journey, you want to go up to Ubud and say alms to the Swami the Rani.
He'd love prayers.
It's got everything. It'll meet you exactly where you're at. But still, what I find extraordinary is that the cost of living here is fantastic. I dropped into a friend of mine's place on the way back last night, and she's got her place there for $100 a week.
Wow.
$100 a week. Beautiful apartment. And it's like, wow, you can still have an incredible way of life here, standard of living, without, let's say Gold Coast, the decent apartment there, $800 a week minimum, one bedroom.
You get a rental application, succeed with one. If there's 100 people applying for the same one, you don't know what's going to happen. So that's why people will be home. You could be a $100,000 a year job in Australia and you'll end up homeless.
Well, let's look at that. $100,000 a year, the government's going to take about 35-40% off you anyway. So let's call that $65K a year to spend. Your rent's going to be close to $45K a year in rent. Doesn't leave you much left over for savings, for investing.
Well, I think the stats are, Dave, in Sydney, you have to have an average income of $220,000 a year to afford the average home. Now, the average home in Sydney is a shitbox in Western Sydney that no one wants to live in. That's the average home. And you have to have $220,000 a year combined salary or a single salary. The average salary is nowhere near that. So you can be on $250,000 a year in Sydney and broke, just above broke. See, I was saying this the other day. Where would you rather be? Would you rather be a poor person in a rich country or a poor person in a poor country? Now, the ironic thing is Bali, Indonesia, used to be a third world country. It's incredibly rich. It's become, we're going to end up one of the top 4 economies they predict in 2050. Loaded with resources, loaded with a fertile population, a hungry population, beautiful people. Australia has a low population, should be incredibly rich, but Australians don't own the wealth. So being poor in a rich country, you're triple fucked. And now here, people are getting wealthier and they're living, but you don't need as much money here. They don't have mortgage debt. They don't have mortgage. It's a cash market predominantly. So the locals don't have a mortgage. That's why they smile. You find anyone in Australia with a big mortgage, the smile has been sucked out of it.
I was going to say that. People in Australia are becoming miserable. You see the road rage, the general sense of frustration and dislike the person next to them. It's really sad. But you come here and what a change, what a fresh change.
Yeah.
Smiles, warmly received and so on. I was going to say...